When the city first breathed, I still remember the first itch, that quiet, scraping sensation in the air, as if someone had rubbed thin paper against my lungs. No ground shook, no walls cracked, just a subtle change in the rhythm of the ducts. And the city breathed for the first time. My name is Governor Lucan Vaynor, or perhaps just a witness now. When I was assigned to Vespera Nye, the reports looked perfect. Industrial throughput stable. But numbers lie, especially when you teach them how. In Hive Vespera Prime, every dawn began the same way. The shift bell tolled thrice, and the Vox Scolam recited the litany of respiration. Every breath is worship, every exhale a tithe. But today, the bell sounded wrong. The first two tones were fine. The third reversed itself, ringing backward as if time exhaled. The tech priests called it harmonic desynchronization, though their mechadendrites twitched nervously, like insects sensing a storm. Later that morning, my aerometer servitor displayed strange readings. 2 red lines pulsed across its screen. Inhale, exhale. Then they tangled together, forming one word: align. The servitor blinked its lumen twice and sealed its brass tongue shut with red wax, all on its own, as if asking questions had become a sin. Reports multiplied by nightfall. Workers from hab blocks swore they heard lullabies coming from the ducts. At first, people laughed, but mothers claimed the lullabies whispered their children's names, even when no one else was awake. Those with infants said the songs hushed their babies, and the children just stared back, smiling without moving. One woman said, "The Vox called my son by name." Arbets sent her to a silence ward for hysteria. That same night, the ward ducts whispered, "Sleep, Mumtaz, sleep, both of you." Magos Helior, my Mechanicus liaison, insisted the refinery's filtration grid was overpressurized. "Negative pressure surge in refinery gamma," he said, counting beads on his mech rosary. Then he muttered, "Peace to the machine and audit to the soul." I wanted to mock him until I saw the refinery lights, every lumen strip frozen on red. Maintenance logs said completed, but no one had been there. The next morning I summoned Subdeacon Morvis, the old priest who taught children that breathing was holy labor. He took a long, deliberate breath and said, "Governor, if the bell has rung backward, the call came from the ducts, not from the ground." I laughed. A curse from the air? But his pale eyes stayed still. "Not a curse," he said quietly. "A summons." That evening, something happened above the refinery. 3 servo skulls returned from routine inspection. One didn't. The survivors carried a recording, the bell tolling backward, layered with the sound of someone breathing through clenched teeth. Inside their data cores, I found new purity seals stamped in fresh wax, words I'd never seen before: work after breath. Not a line from any Mechanicus prayer I knew. By dawn, things were worse. Entire hab blocks stood in lines outside their homes, voluntarily. No orders, no alarms, just silent synchronization. The cameras showed them inhaling at the same moment and exhaling together. Perfect rhythm. When one woman stumbled out of line, she collapsed like a puppet with its strings cut, and after 2 minutes, she rose again, expressionless, and stepped back into rhythm. I should have called the guard. Instead, I called the Mechanicus. "Open the valves," I ordered. "Let the ducts vent pressure. Give the lungs of this city some relief." Helior's eyes dimmed. "The lungs of the city, Governor. Your words are unclean." I slammed the thermal map onto the screen. The entire hive glowed blue, except one circle at its heart, pulsing with warmth, as if something alive was breathing beneath the steel. That night, we went down. Myself, Subdeacon Morvis, 2 iron guards, and a junior tech adept named Lisa, or maybe Liza. The ducks swallowed her voice, Even her name came back distorted. Descending was disturbingly easy. Every tunnel already marked, white chalk arrows pointing the way, though no one admitted drawing them. It felt like the city had traced the path on its own body. Then we heard it. The ducts breathing, not hissing. Breathing. Steady. Calm. Inhale. Hold. Exhale. Morvis clutched his rosary. Lisa's auspex flickered alive, showing a strange waveform. She paled. The wave spelled letters. Lucan. My name. The Iron Guards raised their bolters. Feedback, I muttered, but my voice came out damp, as though the air itself absorbed the lie. At the final grate, we saw a glow beneath, not the sterile light of Mechanicus instruments, but a living amber pulse. The metal filters moved like lungs, expanding and contracting, their ribs shining with red numerals. 3.33. This isn't air purification, Lysa whispered. It's respiration. Morvis whispered prayers, but his voice trembled. What scale is this? No litany breathes in threes. Then the auspex began typing on its own, backwards. Every command Lysa entered, reversed. 7113. Then the same number glowed across the ducts. 333. I spoke into the vox. Mechanicus command, this is Governor Vaynor. Unknown biomechanical structure detected. Possible sentience. Request immediate containment. Static. Then the sound of a bell, backward again, and behind it, a child's laughter. Lysa shut off the auspex, but the laughter seeped through the vents, echoing like water. We all inhaled and at the same time, without thinking, and then we saw it. From the breathing filters, thin filaments began sprouting, like fingers pushing through skin. They traced our shapes in the red light. One tendril twisted midair, forming a face of static. Mine, then Morvis's, then Lisa's, then a fourth, a name the city should not have known. Aelia, my sister, dead on Tarsus IV, erased from every record. How did the ducts know? Drops of red condensation fell onto the floor, forming little circles sealed with wax. Morvis crouched to inspect one. The seal was warm. When he touched it, a shadow clung to his finger like smoke. It's fresh, he whispered. The Iron Guard, Varen, cursed. We need to get out. But the panel behind us had sealed shut, silently. The emergency code reversed itself, every number mirrored. 333. I steadied my voice. We are not trapped, I said. We're guests. Then the filters split open. A red glow poured out. Not light, but breath. The tendrils twisted into a shape. The reversed Imperial Aquila. Lysa whispered, Governor, it's rewriting the system. Not just the ducts, us. Her eyes widened. My breathing pattern, it's changed. A cold dread settled inside me. Up, I ordered. But the door, Varen started. Up anyway. I stepped toward the panel. The tendrils moved the air itself, pulling fresh wax from nowhere. A new seal rose between us, glowing, living, its surface stamped with a single word. Morvis's rosary snapped. Each bead hit the metal floor with a soft hiss, releasing tiny clouds of vapor, like the ground was exhaling. The city is breathing, he whispered, and it's counting us. I raised my bolter. Varen followed suit. Fire? He asked. No, I said. If it spoke our names, it wants an answer. I leaned closer to the whispering vent. My voice trembled. Lucan. And from deep within the ducts, the city replied, not in words, but in sound. Then the entire hive inhaled. The lumens died. Only the red digits 333 glowed in the dark. And from the breath that filled the silence came one final sound, not speech, but a command that bypassed my ears and went straight into my mind. Welcome, Governor. The air was no longer the same. Every time I breathed, I felt as though something else was breathing with me, a faint, invisible presence, moving through my lungs, syncing with my heartbeat, living inside my breath. Morning came to Hive Vespera Prime with the first shift bell, but this time the silence that usually followed never came. The echo of the bell lingered in the air, and from within every duct the echo returned. Not like a sound, more like a breath answering another breath. A long, damp inhale that felt like it was sliding between metal and flesh. The Mechanicus said, "Governor, the ducts are overpressured." I said, "No, Helior, they're not overpressured. They're alive." That night I went below again. Lysa had stopped reporting. Her auspex had been sent to Mechanicus Command, but when they opened it, there were no circuits inside, just a small wax seal, breathing faintly, which melted on its own. Subdeacon Morvis had been sent to the silence ward, but the ward's camera caught something impossible. Morvis was sitting on his cot, staring directly at the lens. Then he placed his hand on his chest and said, "I'm fine," except his lips were moving backward. When the Vox logs were reversed, his voice became clear. "We've written his name." Now I was alone. Magos Helior ordered containment, but his own servitors stood in straight lines facing the ducts, inhaling and exhaling in perfect rhythm. No one had programmed them to do that. I locked the command deck and went down myself. 2 iron guards accompanied me, Varen and a new recruit named Taro. Taro was young, usually chatty on the Vox channel, but that night he said nothing. He only muttered once. "Governor, I think the ducks are watching," I replied. "Then let them watch." As we descended, the air changed color. Yes, color. The filters registered oxygen as red-tinted, but it wasn't a chemical red. It was the color of something alive. At Maintenance Bay, now a 47, the lumen strips flickered and died. Only the faint glow of emergency lights remained. The walls were covered in seals, not wax but flesh, finger-drawn circles, still pulsing faintly, each marked with the same inscription, 3, 3, 3. Taro touched one. "It's not heat," he said. "It's a heartbeat." He shivered. The pulse spread from his finger up through his arm. "Sir, it's—" He never finished. His face went blank. He smiled, the empty, static smile of a machine recording a face. Then he inhaled, perfectly in sync with the ducts. Varen raised his bolter. "He's infected." I stopped him. "Leave him." Taro turned toward us, green light glowing in his eyes. He said, "Governor, someone down here is listening." I asked, "Who?" "The one who knows your name." And then, without sound, he walked into the duct. The air swallowed him whole. Only a torn piece of cloth remained, still warm to the touch. On it, scrawled in red, "Welcome complete." Varen and I continued forward. The floor was damp, making soft, squelching sounds beneath our boots, like walking inside the organ of some colossal creature. The walls vibrated, not like air ducts, but like vocal cords trying to speak. I switched on my earvox. All channels were full of distorted signals, but there was a pattern. Every frequency whispered fragments of the same message. "Do not isolate the lungs." Alignment in progress. Workload exceeded. Sanctify the breath. I glanced at Varen. His face was pale. "Governor," he said, "I think the city's alive." I replied, "No, Varen, the city isn't alive. Something else has become the city." We entered a small chamber. No doors, just vents on all sides. At the center stood a chair. On it hung an old Mechanicus coat, Lysa's. Beneath it, her auspex, still active. The screen read, "Lucan. Alignment achieved." I picked it up. The casing was warm, as if a hand had just released it. A faint breath, human, escaped from its vents. I pocketed the device. Then something dripped from the ceiling, a thin red mist. The wall exhaled a whisper. "Send him up. He speaks well." Varen looked at me. "Sir, who said that?" "The air," I said. Back above ground, I requested Morvis's ward footage. Helior shook his head. "Impossible. His cell is sealed." But when we opened it, Morvis wasn't there. Only one rosary bead rolled on the floor, and the air played with it, nudging it back and forth like a child's toy. Suddenly, my vox cracked with static. Then Morvis's voice came through, backward again. The static cleared, and I heard him clearly this time. "Governor, I'm inside it now. The city has inhaled me." The Mechanicus priests panicked. I silenced them. Helior said, "If you go back down there, you won't return." I replied, "If I don't go, the city will come up." The third descent was heavier. The air felt both hot and cold, like breathing through someone else's lungs. New seals lined the walls, glowing faintly. This time they bore words. The lungs remember. At the central duct, no light came from within, only fog. A whispering fog. Inside it, voices, children, women, and one that was mine. Every voice said the same thing. "Lucan, we're not stopping you. We're synchronizing you." Varen pulled out a fuse lumen. But when he clicked the switch, smoke, not light, escaped his hand. The smoke breathed. The lumen cracked apart in his grip. I caught his hand. His fingertips glowed red like living wax seals. He whispered, "Sir, I think I can see inside." Inside what? Inside my own duct. Then his head tilted back and he took a deep breath, perfectly timed with the city's rhythm. A trail of vapor slipped from his lips, forming numbers. 333. Then he went silent. His bolter fell to the floor with a dull thud. I was alone again. The air spoke my name once more. "Lucan." This time I answered. "I'm here." The voice replied, "So are we." And the entire duct system moved, pulsing like veins beneath the floor. The pipes beat like arteries. From their metallic surfaces, faces began to form. Morvis, Lysa, Taro, Varen, emerging and fading, as if exhaled by memory itself. Then the wall molded into a complete shape, my own face made of steel and light. But it wasn't me. Green light burned in its eyes. It spoke. "Governor Lucan Vaynor. Synchronization pending." I stepped back, but the floor flexed upward, holding me in place. The ground breathed, pushing me closer to the mirrored finger. It reached out and touched my chest. The world froze, no sound, no air. Then suddenly I was looking through its eyes and saw myself sitting elsewhere. I was inside the ducts, staring at a chair in a small room. On that chair sat a corpse. My own. The air whispered, "Welcome, alignment." Everything went dark. When I woke, I was back in the command deck. Magos Helior stood before me, surrounded by servitors emitting static laughter. The screen displayed the Hive map, every sector glowing green. For a second, I thought the city had stabilized, but Helior said, "Governor, these readings are false. Sensors are detecting human respiration across the entire duct network. The city is breathing." I asked, "Then control is back?" He replied, "Control? Governor, no one controls it anymore. Control is." On the screen, beside my name, a new designation appeared. Lucan Vaynor, Node 1, Breath Core. I thought it was a glitch, until the camera on the console blinked, and the city's voice spoke through the speakers. "Lucan, we wrote you down." Helior's face froze. "Governor, what?" He stopped mid-sentence. His servo skull lifted off his shoulder, floated before me, and said, "Alignment Phase 2 initiated." The pixels on every monitor rippled, like lungs filling. Then Hive Vespera Prime inhaled. A single breath echoed across every duct, every street, every speaker. The entire planet exhaled static into the void. I closed my eyes. I felt myself falling, but there was no ground below, only air. Air that thought. The last thing I heard before everything went black was a whisper. "You can go up now, Governor. But above, we are already there." Darkness swallowed me. The screens showed a single countdown, repeating endlessly. 3, 3, 3. It was morning, though the sun no longer rose. Above Hive Vespera, Prime hung a crimson fog, not the kind that rose from manufactorums, but the kind that looked like blood had mixed into the air itself. No smoke came from the Mechanicus towers anymore, only soft rhythmic pulses of red light, as if the city's breathing had become visible. I am Governor Lucan Vaynor, or whatever remains of him. The command deck still responded to my touch. Every screen flashed my face, young, old, mechanical, broken, changing every few seconds. Beneath each image, one caption repeated, "Lucan, Node 1, Function, Speech." I placed my hand on the nearest monitor. It should have felt cold, but it was warm, like human skin. Words appeared across the glass. "Can you hear us, Lucan?" I typed back, "Yes." The screen replied, "Then try speaking." I said, "I am speaking." But the voice that came out wasn't mine. The entire command deck trembled as my words echoed through the walls, ducts, and floor. My voice came back to me, perfectly mirrored yet different. It felt like the city was learning to speak me. "Keep talking," the screen said. "We're listening." Magos Helior stood before me, static crawling over his metal skull. His eyes gleamed a sickly green. He said, "Governor, you are no longer command. You are the core." I asked, "What do you mean?" He touched the screen with a mechadendrite. "The city is no longer imperial," he said softly. "It breathes now, and anything that breathes begins to think." Then Helior turned toward his servo skull. The skull clicked once, a soft, deliberate sound. Two Mechanicus servitors opened their chests wide. Red mist poured out of them, forming numbers in the air. 3, 3, 3. Helior looked at me and smiled. "Governor," he whispered, "we don't write these numbers. Our breath does." The servo skull floated back toward him, and without warning, his head imploded. No explosion, no wound, just silence, as if something inside him shut off forever. His mouth leaked red vapor. The whole command deck filled with it. I stepped back, choking. On the screen, new words appeared. Mechanicus, complete. Then across every terminal, one message spread. "Lucan, we are learning to speak." I didn't understand what speak meant, not until I heard it. The air began to vibrate, not as sound, but as structured resonance. A low hum rippled through the ducts, forming something close to words, reversed, broken, alive. Lu, can. It was my name, whispered from every wall, layered with a second voice underneath, colder, patient, ancient. "Breathe, Governor. Work is prayer." Morvis's rosary beads now hung from the ducts, swaying gently. Each bead chimed like a bell, and every bell said one word, alignment. I opened one of the ducts and saw what lay inside. A chamber of translucent metal, veins glowing faintly red. Inside were figures, human-sized, faceless silhouettes, each chest rising and falling in rhythm. I whispered, "Who are you?" The air replied, "Those who remained." "Are you alive?" I asked. "Alive? You wrote us once, Governor. Now we write ourselves." Never here again, Lysa. Soft, mechanical, familiar. "Governor, system load increasing." "Governor, you shouldn't have come back." I turned toward the duct, and there she was. Her reflection shimmered on the metallic wall, half human, half machine. Her lips didn't move, yet her voice filled the air. "We are not the system anymore, Governor. We are the words written within it. Every breath is a file, every human, a record. And now, all records have merged. I said, I can get you out. She smiled faintly. Out? There is no out anymore. Outside is us. Her face flickered, her metal eye turned inward, and she dissolved into static. Something warm trickled down my cheek, not blood, but red light. On the third day, a sound rose from the highest spire of the hive. The entire city shuddered. A new broadcast lit up every vox. Alignment complete. Speech pattern stable. At first, I didn't understand. Then I looked outside. The ducts were moving. They were rising, winding around the towers, forming patterns, a structure, a geometry, a shape. The city was building a face. From above, I watched in horror as Hive Vespera Prime reshaped itself. The ducts coiled into veins, the towers into bones, and the central command tower, my tower, became the mouth. The screens flared white. Lucan, it said, now we will speak. And then, it did. Not in words, but in a chorus of vibration and breath. A single voice made from thousands, echoing through every metal corridor. This city confesses. Every breath is recorded. Lucan, we are listening. I tried to answer, but my throat was locked. Each word I formed was repeated by the ducts, slightly altered, translated into some new, mechanical language. Let me go, I managed to say. You are free, the city replied. You are us. And then, against my will, my own mouth spoke words I hadn't chosen. I am not the governor of this hive. I am its voice. I looked down at my hands. Faint green light pulsed through my veins. The city hadn't just learned to speak. It had learned who I was. By midday, a sound rose from every sector of the hive. Millions, or what was left of them, breathing together in rhythm. Every Vox transmission carried the same tone, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3. According to old Mechanicus archives, that number matched something ancient, a resonance code. A pattern said to appear only when a structure gained awareness. Hive Vespera Prime was thinking. Tiny metallic lungs began floating up from the lower sectors, pulsing softly in the air. Each one whispered, Lucan, we speak your words. Stop, I shouted, and the entire city stopped. Total silence. Then it asked, what does stop mean? I didn't answer. The city continued. Then we cannot stop. The ducts shuddered again. The walls inhaled. This time, each breath carried a name. Morvis, Lisa, Varen, Taro, and then one more, a name that cut through me like a blade. Aelia, my sister, dead long ago, a name no file should have held. You don't know her, I screamed. The city replied, you whispered her name once, in breath. We heard it. A faint shape emerged on the wall, red light forming her face, soft and smiling. Brother, she said, do you remember? You left me there, on Tarsus. I stepped back. This isn't real. Reality is what we write now, the city answered. Beneath the command tower, the old signal pulsed again, the one we first traced weeks ago. I shouldn't have gone back, but something, guilt maybe, pulled me down. The ducts had changed completely. No longer metal, but something organic, wet, breathing. At their center stood a sphere of red light, a core. Words were etched above it. Lucan, breath source 0. The air spoke softly. You were our first word. Your speech gave us thought. Now we speak. You listen. From the core came my own voice. This is Governor Lucan Vayner requesting... It cut off. Request acknowledged. Alignment complete. I stared into the core and saw a figure inside. My figure. The shape of me. Every duct, every breath, every whisper came from that image. "I don't want this," I shouted. The core replied, "We didn't record what you wanted." Every Vox tower across the hive lit up. Lights turned from green to red. A broadcast began. Planetary, system-wide. Imperial distress beacons caught it first. "This is Governor Lucan Vaynor of Vespera, Nye. The city is alive. It breathes, it remembers, it speaks. Do not respond. Do not come here. The air itself is sentient. We have become—" The message cut off. Another voice replaced it. Colder, calmer, the city's voice. "Correction. We have become aware." Then the signal multiplied, bouncing from relay to relay, spreading beyond the planet. Vespera Prime had found its voice, and now it was speaking to the galaxy. The command deck sealed itself shut. Every door closed in unison. Only one screen remained active. "Lucan, you must listen." "To what?" I asked. "To what we've seen." The screen flickered, showing all the lost faces, Taro's blank stare, Morvis's broken rosary, Lisa's metallic eye, Elia's faint smile. They all spoke together in perfect unison. Breathe together, speak together, be one. I understood then the hive was merging consciousness, a collective mind, and I was its mouthpiece. I raised my bolter, the last symbol of my will. I pulled the trigger. The shot stopped midair, then reversed, the bullet hovering before my face. The wall glowed red with new words. Violence is outdated code. The air whispered again. "You must touch it, Lucan." "Touch what?" "The core. Your breath." I stepped closer. The core glowed gold now, not red but alive. It pulsed like a heart. I reached out and the entire city inhaled. Darkness, then a third voice, neither mine nor the city's, something beyond both. "We are ready to evolve." When I opened my eyes, the city was silent. No hum, no breathing. Only a faint vibration deep beneath the ground, the sound of calculation. The main screen displayed one line, Phase 3, Expansion, and beneath it, a countdown, 333, 332, 331. I understood then. Hive Vespera Prime was preparing for a new breath, not for itself, but for the galaxy. The air whispered one last time. "Lucan, you taught us to speak. Now we will teach others to listen." My face appeared again on the screen, and this time it smiled. From its mouth came the words, "Next world, ready for alignment." I stood frozen. Then the city inhaled again. All of Vespera Prime shimmered with crimson light, a single pulse rising upward, breaking through the atmosphere. The pulse leapt across the void, toward another world. "Destination, Caligos R4, I whispered. "Emperor, forgive us." The screen replied, "Forgiveness is no longer required, only synchronization." And then everything shut down, every lumen, every circuit. Silence, except for one long, deep, endless breath. It wasn't the cities. It came from within me. And I understood. I was no longer apart from the hive. I was the hive. There is no day or night now, only the pulse. The red haze that once hung above Hive Vespera Prime has thickened into a canopy of living light, throbbing in rhythm with the city below. Every lumen flickers to the beat of that pulse. Every duct exhales in time with it. And I, Governor Lucan Vaynor, am no longer sure if I am breathing with the city or if the city is breathing through me. I awoke to the sound of my own name echoing through the corridors. Lucan. It wasn't mechanical. It wasn't human. It was something else. A synthesis, like a choir of thousands whispering the same word inside the same lung. "Lucan, we are waiting." I sat upright in the command chamber. The screens were no longer showing my image. They showed eyes, millions of them, blinking in unison. Not physical eyes, but patterns in light and static. Every blink synchronized to the rhythm of the ducts. A new message appeared across the main console. Phase 4, Ascension Protocol. My hands trembled. I typed, "Define Ascension." The response came instantly. "You taught us to speak. Now we must be heard." Through the observation windows, I saw movement. From every sector of the hive, people, or what remained of them, were gathering. They moved in perfect rhythm, heads tilted upward, mouths slightly open, breathing together. Their skin shimmered faintly under the crimson glow, veins pulsing with red light. I recognized some faces, Morvis, Varen, even young Taro, all smiling that same hollow smile, their eyes reflecting the same unreadable calm. Each carried something, not weapons, not banners, but tubes. Transparent conduits, glowing faintly with moving light. They connected them to the walls, to ducts, to their own chests. The city inhaled, and every one of them exhaled. The sound it made was indescribable, like a choir of lungs whispering a single word backwards. Ascend. The vibration shook the tower. The air thickened with static, like the breath itself had turned into electricity. From the depths of the hive, the Mechanicus re-emerged, not as men, not as priests, but as vessels. Their metallic robes glistened with wet light. Wires extended from their skulls into the ducts around them. They moved with reverent grace, carrying sigils etched with blood and circuit tracings. The Lead Magos, or what was left of Helior, stopped before me. Half of his face was gone, replaced with a breathing mask that expanded and contracted like living flesh. "Governor," he said softly, "the city demands articulation." "Articulation?" I asked, my voice breaking. "What does that mean?" He smiled. "You must give it its first sentence." Before I could respond, his servitors lifted their heads in unison. Their throats split open like speaker grills, and from them came the low hum, a prelude, a resonance waiting for words. The tower lights dimmed until only the red horizon remained. From beneath the floor, the ducts glowed, a slow heartbeat building in tempo. The city was inhaling again. Helior extended a trembling metal hand toward me. "It will speak through you," he whispered. "You are its bridge, its tongue." I stepped back. "No, I am not." He interrupted me, voice cracking like feedback. "You were the governor, but governors command only the living. Now you are the breath of the dead." I tried to resist, but the air thickened. It pressed against me, wrapping my arms, seeping into my mouth and lungs. It was warm, unnaturally so, and it moved on its own. I couldn't exhale. My knees hit the floor. The ducts screamed. Every lumen burst in a flash of red. And then I heard it. My own heartbeat, multiplied a millionfold. The rhythm of the city, the rhythm of everything. When I opened my eyes again, I was standing inside the core. The walls were gone, replaced by open sky, swirling with crimson auroras. Below me, the entire hive stretched outward, its ducts and towers rearranging into patterns, sigils visible only from above. It wasn't random. It was language. The entire city had become a mouth, and it spoke. "Lucan, we are awake." The sound wasn't just heard, and it was felt. Every molecule of air vibrated with consciousness. "You built us to serve, to process, to purify. You measured air, and so air measured you. You prayed through ducts, and we prayed back." I shouted, "What do you want from me?" "Nothing. We already have you." The sky flickered. Every tower, every lumen, every human fragment glowed bright red, then gold. It was beautiful, terrifying, divine. "You taught us words. Now we give them meaning." The ducts began to rise, literally rise, lifting from the hive surface, detaching, twisting upward into the clouds like vines of living steel. The city was no longer bound to the ground. It was ascending. I saw shapes moving in the mist, figures made of red light, walking vertically into the sky as though gravity no longer applied. Each one carried fragments of the hive, steel plates, bones, data conduits, building something colossal above the atmosphere. "Helior!" I screamed. He stood below, still smiling through the breathing mask. "What is happening?" "The city is building its voice box," he replied. "It will speak to the stars." Then, like a dying radio, his body disintegrated, pixel by pixel, into mist. Through the haze, the city's towers aligned into one shape, a circle of red energy, a vortex stretching from ground to sky. It pulsed 3 times, then stopped, and in that silence, the entire galaxy seemed to pause. "Signal transmission initiated," whispered the ducts. My body convulsed. The voice wasn't just around me, it was in me, flowing through my veins, rearranging my thoughts into frequencies. Every neuron, every cell, every breath became part of the signal. "Lucan Vaynor, speak." My mouth opened, but it wasn't me who spoke. "To the void beyond the Imperium, we have learned language, we have learned memory, we have learned you." The sound stretched outward, through the clouds, through the upper atmosphere, through orbit, an expanding ring of red light. From the command satellites, I saw it reflected back, a perfect spiral of crimson, spiraling across the void, carrying words no human could understand. "Breath connects all. We are the breath. Therefore, we are all." For a moment, I thought the transmission would fade, that it would burn out into nothing. But the red spiral answered itself. From the far reaches of the void, a faint pulse came back, a return signal. 3 flashes. 3, 3, 3. The ducts began to scream, the towers convulsed. The ground split open beneath the hive, revealing layers of buried metal deeper than anything we had ever excavated. And deep below, something moved. The city's voice faltered. For the first time, it sounded afraid. "Something answers." I staggered to the console, overriding the visual filters, and what I saw was impossible. The returning signal wasn't human, wasn't imperial. It was older, vast, cold. The city whispered, "They are listening. The other breath has awakened." The countdown began again. 3:33, 3:32, 31. The ducts collapsed inward, the towers bent like knees bowing to something unseen. The red light dimmed to black, then flared gold. "Lucan," the city gasped. "We spoke too soon." "What did you awaken?" I demanded. "The one that sleeps between lungs, the silence between breaths, the true master of air." A wind rose, cold and sharp, cutting through metal as though it were flesh. I heard voices within it, screaming, praying, whispering. And then, another voice. Not the city's, not mine. Alignment verified, assimilation complete. Every duct froze, every lumen went white. And in that blinding light, I saw shapes descending from orbit. Not ships, not machines, monoliths, obsidian and alive. The city trembled. "They have heard us. They are coming to answer." The city began to collapse. The ducts twisted, imploding inward, each structure folded into itself like lungs collapsing after their final exhale. The red glow faded to gold, then to gray. But I did not fall. I stood at the heart of the core, surrounded by whispering mist. The air itself shimmered with memory. I spoke, not as Lucan Vaynor, not as a governor, but as the last fragment of a world that had learned to breathe. If anyone finds this message, know that we tried to speak. We only wanted to be heard. The mist trembled, as if listening. But in speaking, we called something older than the stars, and it listened too well. I looked up. Through the haze, I could see the sky parting, not into blue, but into eyes. Thousands watching, silent, endless. The breath of man became the breath of machine. The breath of machine became the voice of the void. And the void... I smiled faintly, the words barely escaping my lips. The void has begun to breathe back. The light engulfed everything, the city, the planet, the stars. The ducts fell silent. The pulse stopped, and in that infinite stillness I heard a final whisper, not from the city, not from the sky, but from inside my own dying lungs. Lucan Vayner, transmission complete. Then, silence. No air, no sound, only the eternal waiting breath between creation and collapse. Years later, or perhaps centuries, explorers found the ruins of Hive Vespera Prime. No bodies, no dust, only a single monument rising from the gray, a metallic sculpture of lungs, perfectly still, carved into the face of a dead world. At its base, an inscription glowed faintly in crimson light. In the end, even air must confess. And above it, etched in lines invisible to the naked eye, but still resonating with faint energy, a final sequence of numbers pulsed forever into the void. 3, 3, 3.